Hi everyone, I'm Jake Stucker from Bowling Green, Ohio, and a proud alumnus of BGSU. I'm a technology risk consultant, entrepreneur, and product designer. I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of embracing your personal creativity. But first, at the end of your life, if you were shown a statistic of how much of your life was spent on a screen, would you be happy with it? How much of it was memorable? How much of it was meaningful? We've never spent more time entertained, but we are not necessarily happier for it. Let's talk about just one part of this problem. Firstly, social media companies have commodified our attention in our lives. Our psychology has been meticulously studied and exploited to optimize the competition for our attention and induce mindless scrolling for maximum ad impressions. This has led to the rise of short-form video content in which every scroll, swipe, gesture, icon, and animation has been engineered for your addiction. Now we scroll endlessly to kill time between tasks and meetings, and after a long day of classes or work, what better way to kick back than to just scroll, or go one step further and throw something up on the TV screen. Despite our access to infinite stimulation and virtually endless entertainment, reported happiness and life satisfaction are stagnant or declining across age groups around the world. They are significantly declining for young people, as found by Jean Twenge and David Blanchflower in a cumulative 2025 study that aggregated the findings of 11 studies of well-being across 6 English-speaking countries. So we face 3 consequences of our chronically online state, the first 2 of which I'm sure you're already well aware of. Firstly, emotional volatility. Algorithm-driven content subjects us to a roller coaster of emotions to keep us laughing, terrified, intrigued, and focused only on the app. Next, it's said that comparison is the thief of joy. Social media forces self-comparison on us. Whether we're conscious of it or not, there is an expectation of performing your identity online, almost an expectation to be always informed in a high-velocity culture of engagement. At this point, the damaging psychological effects associated with these first 2 consequences are well documented and widely acknowledged, leading to the terms of brain rot and doom scrolling entering our vocabulary. So we know that this behavior is not beneficial. But the last consequence is discussed the least, but it's gaining some attention, but that's boredom, and it's sort of the focus of this talk. So what's unique about boredom? Well, it's unbearable. It's why we picked up the phone in the first place. We needed something to occupy our hands and our minds. So why does boredom matter? Well, boredom is a catalyst for action, curiosity, and invention. We detest it, and our minds quickly wander to more entertaining thoughts when stimulation is just not available. Think of those quiet moments when you've put down the phone to charge on the nightstand right before you go to bed. Your mind is racing, as if those are the only uncontested moments of unconstrained thought you've had all day. When we fill every quiet moment with a screen, we concede the chance to think, to imagine, and to make something of our own. So, what are we actually searching for when we scroll? As I just mentioned, boredom compels us to seek stimulation. Our phones are almost always the cheapest, easiest, most accessible source. And beyond scrolling, though, there are more meaningful uses of your leisure time to engage in, activities that are likely to contribute to your overall life satisfaction, such as socializing with friends and family. However, I'm going to focus on our solo downtime and the importance of embracing creativity during that. So, what is creativity? Well, there's a lot of different definitions out there, and I think it helps to just kind of identify some of the common themes and think of them as loose criteria for identifying your creativity. But yeah, things like using your imagination, embracing novelty, originality, just making something tangible or intangible, or just bringing something into existence. Ultimately, creativity isn't limited to people who self-identify as artists. We're all artists, and I would argue it's a fundamental part of being human. So let's level set. What are some quick examples of creativity? We have drawing, writing stories, poetry, making or playing music, cooking, building, sewing, gardening, landscaping, photography, making a cosplay. There's so many options out there. And digital creation counts too. Screens are a tool. And I know I dug at it earlier. The important question to ask yourself is, do you have anything to show for all that screen time? So why is creativity the answer? Creativity gives us goals novel experiences, a sense of accomplishment, and opportunities to express generosity in an unmatched way. The act of making something, materializing our imagination into reality, and the sense of accomplishment we feel from it help us feel more fulfilled in life. Creative goals give us something to look forward to. At risk of sounding like an anthropologist for a moment, for humans in the past, before screens, when they had free time and their basic needs were met, what did they turn to? Well, for one, they made things. These creative acts gave people a sense of ownership, a project to look forward to after a long day, and something to imagine and ponder just during moments when they couldn't work on it. It sounds ridiculous to have to imagine a world before ubiquitous screen-based entertainment, but as absurd as that sounds, it's perhaps even more absurd that we've forgotten to consider the implications of what we choose to occupy our free time with. Ultimately, not all downtime is created equal. Another thing that creativity creates is happiness. In their 2021 study, Being Creative Makes You Happier, the positive effect of creativity on subjective well-being, researchers Tan, Chua, Lee, and Tan investigated causality, not just association, between creativity and happiness. In other words, they looked at whether happy people are simply more creative and instead examined whether creativity itself can make people happier. Through creative priming, the study found a significant positive causal relationship between creativity and self-reported happiness. Creativity inherently involves novel first-time experiences through learning new techniques of making and through the process of creation itself. These novel experiences make life feel longer and more fulfilling. Dr. Mark Whitman writes in Psychology Today about the phenomenon of each year seemingly passing faster as we age. And he attributes this to the fact that as we get older, we tend to have fewer first-time experiences and settle into our routines. Routine memories are aggregated by the brain, distorting our perception of time, making life feel as if it's progressing faster. Vast swaths of time become blurs of memory. Dr. Whitman writes, the more novel and fulfilling experiences we have, which we attend to with interest, the more memories are built. This enhanced memory formation leads to the feeling that life has lasted longer. So if we aren't creating novel memories or making things to help us recall our lives, we risk accelerating through life, wondering where all the time has gone. Creativity requires relationships, something social media claims to strengthen, but how does creativity relate to meaningful relationships? Well, beyond the obvious case of common interests with friends, we have to learn from others. Well, you can watch tutorials online, and I do encourage it as an option to support your creative practice. See if there are any local groups or events dedicated to the creative work that you want to explore. Further, we enjoy showing others what we have made. What you make can inspire others. Odds are you got into creative practice because you were inspired by something that someone else made. The trick is to share your projects in a way that doesn't increase the demands on your time and energy, like trying to be an influencer. It's not to say you can't share your projects online, but be mindful of how you do it. Is a constant online presence a meaningful contribution to your life? Lastly, creativity invites us to pay it forward and share our lessons learned with others. How can you make a creative practice and the fulfillment you feel from it more accessible to others? I want you to take a moment and think about a gift you received this past year. Seriously, try to pick one, take a moment. Got it? Next, I want you to try and think of one from the year before. Try to really differentiate last year versus 2024. Take a second. Now I want you to think of a gift that was made for you by someone you know. Odds are that last one is a little bit easier to think of. Gifts made by someone are almost always more meaningful and more memorable. What better way to give a gift than to say, I made this for you? For me, one gift stands out above all others. When I was a kid, my dad worked at the General Motors plant in Defiance, and I would draw robot blueprints and ask him to build them. One day he came home with a small steel robot he welded together from available materials. And it wasn't the exact robot I imagined, but it told me something far more important. It told me he saw my curiosity and he valued it. And he took the time between backbreaking work to build me a toy that I could paint and play with, turning my imagination into something real. So now what? Now that you know some of the benefits of creativity, you can choose to fill your downtime with it, right? Were it so easy, there's still a battle for your attention and enormous research and investment aimed at ensuring that you lose. So what are the simplest way to start? Well, the easiest way to win is delete the apps that use short form content. If that's not your speed though, you can establish app time limits. But if you're like me, you're probably gonna end up clicking past those anyway. So cold turkey might be the best way to do it. But alternatively, you can try social media fasting. Go a week, a month, 3 months, however long you feel works for you. Or just find opportune times to re-download the app, like sitting in a waiting room for an appointment or for a flight at the airport. It's up to you. Do what you have to. The answer for one person is probably gonna be different from another. Ultimately, you must decide how to reclaim your time. How can you make your life your own? Not Meta's, not TikTok's, not Google's, but yours. So now the fun part, the solution. So as far as a couple good starting points for looking into getting into a creative project, what did you love doing as a kid? What are you curious about? What skills have you always wanted to learn? Try to keep those types of questions in mind. Now, as for some guidelines when starting up a creative practice, above all, be patient with yourself. You're doing this for you. Also, once you feel comfortable making something, you can create for others, but don't perform your creativity for others. This is about you still. Also, start small. If it's something new, try to start cheap before you invest too much money in something that might be just a short-term fascination. Also, try to find a local group dedicated to that creative practice. Creative community groups are generally very excited to welcome new members. Lastly, let your curiosity lead you. It is often said that people regret what they never did more than what they did. Right now, many of us risk regretting a lot. So please, just make something. Thank you.